I'm Dr. Fiona Lovely, and this is the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. I'm taking the taboos of menopause and perimenopause and bringing light to the dark. No bullshit, no shame. It's time for us to gain a new paradigm in female health, out with the old and in with the new, and I'm bringing fresh perspectives from someone in the arena. I've been practicing women's health for nearly 20 years, and I'm spilling the tea on what it means to live at midlife, knowing that the best is yet to come. I'm sharing my Gen X approach to living through this transition. Sassy, a bit sweary, and always honest. Tactical tips and instantly usable information is my aim. I hope to make you laugh and that you learn something new that helps you embrace the change. Together, we bring power to the peri. Onward to the podcast. Hello, listeners. This is Dr. Fiona Lovely for the Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast. Thank you for listening to the show. Have you seen the documentary, The M Factor? It's all the rage in the menoverse, and I'm so excited to have the co-producer, co-founder, documentarian Tamsen Fadal on the show today. Tamsen Fadal is an Emmy Award-winning journalist, author, documentary filmmaker, and social media's midlife mentor. After more than 3 decades as a news anchor, Tamsen made the bold decision to pivot her career towards women's advocacy. From the bedroom to the boardroom, she serves as a best friend, guide, and a one-stop resource for everything women need to thrive during midlife and beyond. Tamsen has developed a passionate and loyal social media audience of over 4 million, with her powerful content on women in midlife reaching over 64 million views monthly. Tamsen leverages her decades of journalism experience to provide actionable tools from dozens of world-renowned experts on topics ranging from wellness to fashion. Tamsen is the creator and executive producer of the groundbreaking PBS documentary, The M Factor, Shedding the Silence on Menopause, which has galvanized a global movement. It's been viewed by over 1 million women in 350 plus cities and 42 countries and led to thousands of screenings around the world. Her latest book, How to Menopause, Take Charge of Your Health, Reclaim Your Life, and Feel Even Better Than Before, will be available in March of 2025. By the time you hear me speak these words on the podcast, you will be able to order the How to Menopause book. How to Menopause answers all the questions you've been too nervous to ask. With this book, Tamsen has created a safe place to ask questions, gain support, and defeat the shame and stigma around menopause and midlife. Now, you know, Tamsen and I had a fun conversation, just like we'd known each other for years. And she talked about the process of getting this documentary made and how funding wasn't easy. She was told there was not going to be an audience for it, which is hilarious for those of us on the inside. Of course, we know women very much need guidance during this time. And she spoke about the process of interviewing the experts and compiling the information for the How to Menopause book. And we talked about little wins that mean for us that the world is changing and the world of taking care of women at midlife is changing. And both Tamsen and I were here for it. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I enjoyed being a part of it. What a pleasure to welcome Tamsen Fadal to the show. Hey there, Not Your Mother's Menopause listeners. Let's talk about something we rarely think about, but totally should. Nutrient absorption. You might be eating all the right foods, popping the right supplements, and still, your body might not be getting what it needs. Super frustrating, right? You see, the nutrients that fuel your energy, mood, memory, and even your sleep are some of the hardest to absorb. And let's face it, midlife doesn't exactly make it easier. Throw in stress, gut issues, meds, processed foods, and you're left wondering why you're still feeling blah. All is not lost. Have you ever heard of liposome encapsulation? It's like a nutrient delivery service with VIP access. Liposomes are tiny protective bubbles that safely shuttle nutrients straight to your cells, bypassing all of those absorption roadblocks. And when it comes to midlife must haves, LivOn Labs has you covered with their Lypo-Spheric supplements. Think ultra absorbable vitamin C, B complex plus, and their star player, Lypo-Spheric magnesium. That last one, it's basically brain fuel. Magnesium L-threonate is the only form proven to raise brain magnesium levels, helping with memory, focus, and relaxation. It means it crosses the blood-brain barrier. That's pretty cool. Plus, they added choline to support neurotransmitter production. Oh, and MTHFR, you say? You know who you are. The B Complex Plus has methylated folate, so you get exactly what your body needs. And here's the best part. LivOn Labs is offering Not Your Mother's Menopause listeners an exclusive deal. Head over to livonlabs.com/lovely. That's livonlabs.com/lovely and snag the midlife bundle. You'll get vitamin C, B Complex Plus, and magnesium for $56 off. Your cells deserve VIP treatment. Give them the nutrients they actually absorb and get ready to feel like yourself again. I am so excited to introduce to the podcast community Tamsen Fadal, an award-winning journalist, the co-producer behind the documentary The M Factor, women's health advocate, social media powerhouse, and just a general great freaking human. Tamsen, welcome to Not Your Mother's Menopause podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is an honor.
Oh, for me too. For me too. So I was just saying to you that your team sent me the link for the M Factor. And because I'm here in Canada, I hadn't been able to see it on the PBS launch, but I've had so many of my community ask me if I had seen it. And so it was just such a pleasure to watch it. And I just want to thank you for putting that out into the world. Thank you.
No, thanks for saying so. I really appreciate it. I love hearing from community and excites me anytime that we are raising awareness. That's what this is all about.
It really, truly is. Absolutely. Everything that comes out of our mouths really ultimately ends up being some little nugget for somebody somewhere.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Just a beautiful thing. And I wonder, as a journalist, if you ever had the experience of, I remember hearing Oprah talk over the years, because, I'm Gen X, so I was raised by Oprah. You too. Yeah.
Me too.
The Oprah Winfrey Show raised me after school, And I do remember Oprah saying she could feel when a guest said something that made a shift in the collective. And I'm sure you've had that experience yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I love the fact that we're sitting here talking about this, but I love the fact that you've been doing this for as long as you've been doing it. You've got to feel that major shift, because I definitely do in just the past few years.
100%.
I thought it was just my algorithm. I was like, is it just my algorithm? And I'm just talking, and my husband goes, maybe mine has travel on it. And I'm like, mine has menopause all over it. But I do think there's been a real shift. There's no question about it. I have men coming up talking to me about it. I have young women screaming on the perimenopause on the street. So I get really excited.
Yes, absolutely. And everything we do, like I said, it just makes such a huge difference. Now, what made you want to co-produce this documentary? Talk about that, please.
Yeah, the documentary came about several years ago. I was talking with one of the four co-producers that I have on it, and we were just kind of commiserating with each other, about our issues. And we're both journalists, and she had left the Today Show as a result of a lot of her symptoms. Actually, she was a producer there, and I was still working in news at the time, and we were going back and forth. And I said, "Gosh, we should do some videos. I'm talking to all these amazing doctors. I'm talking to all these amazing women. They're sharing their stories." And so she's like, "Maybe we do something. We'll put it together for YouTube." And I'm like, "Great idea." And then we realized that there was so much more to do. So we just literally took iPhones out into Times Square, started asking people what they wanted to know about menopause. It was like at the end of COVID.
Wow.
And people, oh, well, it's kind of in the middle, I guess, because people still had masks on. And they're like, some people are like, "Oh, I didn't ever go through menopause," or "I think I'm too young," or I don't know anything about it. And we thought, okay, that's where we kind of started as our mini focus group. And then we realized that this was a much larger conversation. And so we said, we're gonna do a film, and wherever it goes and wherever we can do it. We had a tough time with funding. We heard things like, there's no audience for it. No one's interested in it. It's a niche subject. People don't want to hear about that. Then we met up with two other filmmakers who wanted to work on the same thing out of California, had done documentaries before. We hooked up with them, and it was an incredible ride ever since. We had decided, like, we're going all in. We're going around the country with cameras. We're going to get as many women as we can talk to as possible. PBS decided to partner with us on it for here in the US. We're now looking for international partners as well, which is super exciting. And we put it together. And then after it aired, in October of 2024, we started giving it to women for like 4 months to be able to bring free to their communities. Because that was the operative word with all of it, is making sure that women had access, not making sure that you had to sign into something to get something, women had access. So these women, and once they heard that the film was available to them, brought it into their communities. They would have like theaters of 500, 650, 40, 800. Kelly Casperson, Dr. Kelly Casperson, 800 people in a theater, coming together on their own time, their own money, their own everything, to watch this and have that conversation. And that has made a huge difference. And we did as much as we could. We wanted to put tons of information in. We had 57 minutes to an hour to get all of it in that we could. We've had videos outside of it to try to keep, the longer versions of the story, but it's really been remarkable to see what women can do when they want to and when they have some resources to help.
Now, you and I aren't surprised by that at all.
No, not at all.
The people
Not at
who
all.
said there's not an audience for this,
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
ones that are busy being surprised.
Can you imagine? And it's funny, the first time I got up when we did our first screening, our premiere in New York, and I got up to introduce it and say thank you. And like, I was really nervous. And it was like all these people I'd known through all these different parts of my life were there to watch it. And I said, yeah, and I told the story, and people like burst out laughing. And I went, why wonder they're laughing? But it was funny to hear, nope, there was no audience for it. And I was like, oh no, you're right. This is like funny that they would think that when half the world is going through it. So I always tell the story because I think, to me, became like just disappointing rather than shocking. And
Yes.
now it's a little bit of everything. So
Yes. Well, and as Sharon Malone says in the documentary, she says this is how did she put it? She called it the universal experience for women.
yeah,
And it is shocking when you think about it that way,
yeah,
because especially when we look at how much of the research money and the training goes to obstetrics, which I didn't have kids. So
yeah, either.
exactly. So I'm not going to be using that
Yeah, yeah,
information, but this is my ovaries are experiencing perimenopause. Oh boy, are they. And it's a unifying thing for us.
it is. It is. And I think that as somebody who's in the media for so long, reporting on every study, on every coffee study, on every cholesterol study, and not that all those things are not important, but how do we miss this? How do we
Mhm.
miss this? How do we just decide that this wasn't that important? How do we as a society think this was something to whisper or call taboo or have women feel shameful about? How do we miss that?
Yep.
And so I really think that we're in overdrive right now trying to make up for that. And I think that's why this is happening. And I couldn't love it more. I
Me
love
too.
every single person I've met in this
Yeah.
space. I feel really connected, and not in a goofy way, in a real, true to my core way. I feel there's like real people trying to make a difference. I know that there's a lot of confusion of information, but we're doing the best we can. We're doing the best we can with the limited resources and information that we have right now. And so every time someone's, saying like, oh, I don't know if this one agrees with that one and that, listen, we have women. That's who's the most important right now. And the last
Yes.
thing that we can do is confuse them and make them feel like they give up because, they don't have answers. We've got to get them whatever answers we have.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I know that feeling that you're talking about where you just feel the connection. And this is what we do as women. We've done it
Yeah.
since the red tent.
Yes, yes,
Before, right? We come
yeah.
together and we share experiences. And it's a really interesting thing that you've said about, how did we miss this? Listen, I was in the space. I was talking about it and I missed it. So,
We all did.
how did it happen?
I don't know. I think we know overall the fact that, first of all, pull back the fact that women weren't even required to be in studies, in these clinical and medical studies
Yeah.
until the 90s. Like, What?
Bananas.
Bananas. So even just that information blew me away. And that's like low hanging fruit, quite frankly, of what we should be doing. The fact that women in midlife are, menopause is kind of folded into ageism and all those other things that we have going on there. So really, when we come past our reproductive years, we just fall off. Like we're just not there. And it is why women feel invisible. And it is why women feel like there's not as much relevant, their best years are behind them. So I think we have like a triple battle to do. We're not just battling menopause information. There's a lot of things that are all tied up in all of it that we just haven't learned how to do or what to do or why we deserve more. And so I don't know why it's happened now. I do feel like a lot of us have loud voices and I'm excited about that. But I don't want it to end with Gen X. I do want to make sure that those other generations are listening and feeling and shouting and making sure that, they know what's going on so they don't go through the same thing. We should never be repeating this ever, ever.
I agree. Ever feel like food just sits in your stomach like a bowling ball? Are you tired of feeling stuffed and bloated after meals but still craving snacks an hour later? Did you know most digestive issues aren't from too much stomach acid, but too little? Just Thrive Digestive Bitters could be the answer. Our modern diet lacks essential bitter compounds to aid digestion. Just Thrive Digestive Bitters features 12 clinically proven herbs that naturally activate your body's digestive processes. It is the most comprehensive bitters product on the market. It comes in an innovative capsule delivery system, so there's all benefit with no bitter taste. Just Thrive Digestive Bitters can help ease bloating and that stuck feeling after meals. It supports complete and comfortable digestion and enhances nutrient absorption. It promotes healthy bile flow, optimizes stomach acid levels, and supports regular, comfortable bowel movements. It even naturally supports GLP-1 production. This helps to curb cravings naturally, promote healthy blood sugar balance, support natural appetite regulation, and enhance energy levels. Just Thrive Digestive Bitters works both immediately and long-term and is safe for daily use. Each bottle comes with an industry-leading money-back guarantee. Love the way you feel or get a full product refund, whether it's been 2 days or 2 months, even if the bottle is empty. Visit justthrivehealth.com and use the code LOVELY for a discount exclusive for our listeners. Thank you, Just Thrive. Well, you've heard it called millennial pause, perhaps.
Yes, I have.
And I'm starting to see the 30-somethings, the early 40s, the older millennials come to me and say, could this be menopause? Could it be perimenopause? So, for a long time when I would say to a patient, somebody would come complaining about, low back pain or something like that. I said, well, how are your periods? Where are you in the perimenopause? And I remember one woman going she literally grabbed a hold of her chest and said, you need to warn me before you say that word. And I was like, whoa, dude, bro.
Bro. I know. It's so funny, but that is a reaction. I mean, it's a reaction I had when I had it in my patient portal. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Can't be a menopause.
No.
I'm 49. Fun. I was the average age. But going back to women being younger, I was in Miami crossing the street with my husband about a month ago now. And this young woman leaned out the car. She was at a light. And she's like, Tamsen. And I looked and she put her fist out there and she was like, I'm in perimenopause. And then drove off. And I went, that is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And my husband's like, what did she say? And I go, she's in perimenopause. And he goes, oh, okay. It was just, but it was so, I don't know. It was really a special moment that I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
And to it's like
a battle cry almost. Yes. Here we go. Let's go.
It was a battle cry. That's very funny. It really was. It's great.
I love it. Well, the M Factor has become a phenom. And again, I thank you and your co-creators, your co-producers for bringing it to the space, the menoverse, if you will. Now, you've taken this information and you've written a book called How to Menopause. Please show us that gorgeous cover.
Oh, thank you. Because it just came in the mail and I'm so proud.
It's
Uh,
beautiful.
Thank you. So,
Gorge.
yeah, I'm real excited. This is like my little baby. I spent a long time, yeah, I love research and I love, I'm a journalist. And so I love interviewing people and I worked really hard on it. I interviewed about 45 different doctors. I mean, speak about working hard, as a doctor, what you've done. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's nothing compared to what you've done. But,
Mm.
and so I put together a book where I feel like this is what I wish I had. These are the different areas that I felt have not been part of the conversation necessarily. And so, there's just different areas of it. There's the traditional ones that are part of the conversation of hormone, non-hormone. I talk a lot about nutrition and lifestyle because I think that those are big parts that have to
Hmm.
be there. If my mother were alive today, she wouldn't have been able to do hormones. She had breast cancer. So I want to make sure there's something in it for everybody.
Yes.
I wanted to go into workplace and mindset and some of those other conversations that we're having, relationships and dating in perimenopause and getting married and remarried in menopause and all those things
Wow.
like happen.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can't say like, okay, menopause happens in the doctor's office. I mean, this is like what happens in the doctor's office and beyond. And
Yeah.
that was really important to me to create.
Well, to me, it feels like perimenopause as I'm on the later ends of it. I feel like it was like a line in the sand in my life. And it was everything
You're
I
right.
did, all that behavior that I did before and now after. And as I like to say to my patients, and I share on the show quite often, is that when you lose the hormones that give you the biological impetus to be pleasing to people, everything changes.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I have every once in a while, I'm like, did I just say that? But yeah, I do feel I'd heard it before, no more F's to give and this and that. But I
Yeah.
never felt it before. And now that I feel it, I'm like, wow, there's some power in this. There's some real like me time that's come out of it. There's some real clarity of who I am and who I wasn't. And so that's a nice thing, like it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to pop on here and just talk and not be like worried about, 100 other things. And what is she thinking of me? And what are we thinking of each? Like, there's some nice space in that I call the gifts of this time. I think they're real gifts. I really do. I really do.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. There's that moment where clarity, you said it was clarity, some real power and some real clarity. I love that. Like, how can you not look forward to that? I
I know.
hope the
I know.
millennials are listening and going,
Yes.
these are my older sisters.
Yes.
This is what I have to
Yes.
look forward to. Yes.
They really do. And, I know I've talked to a couple of young girls and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so scary. And I was like, no, I said, because now you know. And so if you know, it's not scary. It's the not knowing that's scary. It's the not knowing
Yes.
what's going on with your head and not having the word brain fog to
Mm,
understand that it's probably not dementia. It's the understanding of why you're not sleeping. It's the understanding of why your body just broke out into, a sweat and your heart is racing out of control, that it might not be a cardiovascular incident, though you have to be aware and make sure.
mhm.
But there are a lot of things that it can be without you playing whack-a-mole with all these symptoms.
Yes, that's a really good way of saying it, whack-a-mole too. Yeah, I think the younger generations will actually benefit tremendously from the work that you and I are doing and the others are doing right now. That is my hope. I just can't see us going back.
No way. Not going back.
When
We're
does the
not
book
going
come
back.
up? No, we're not. Absolutely not. If you've got women hanging out the car saying, Tamsen, I'm in perimenopause,
We
like
need more.
that is so good. I think we need bumper stickers. Do we need bumper
I
stickers? Do we
know. I love that idea.
t-shirts?
I love that. I have a t-shirt. I
Do
have
you?
t-shirts. I do.
Oh, awesome. Do they say perimenopause or menopause?
One says menopause made me do it, and the other one says the
So
perimenopause.
good.
Yep.
So good. Those are so good. Now you have an online event that's coming up soon. Can you
I
talk about that,
do.
please?
I do. It's March the 1st. So that's going to be, it's called the World's Hottest Menopause Party. And it was really important for me to make sure that that event was free to women to come in and listen to that information. It's virtual, it's global. And I wanted to make sure we have different communities. So we have communities all over the world that are going to have watch parties. They're going to watch, ask questions. Some have already sent questions in, talk to different experts. We're going to have different panels. We're going to have different conversations. And it was just really important to me. If you can't get to New York or LA or Chicago or wherever, to go to attend something, want to make sure that you're still able to access that information. And so I pulled together as many experts as I could in the space without my producers saying like, okay, you have to stop.
Stop. Yes.
I'm still adding people. I'm still adding, and they're like, you have to stop. And so, so I'm hopeful that this is the first of many, but yeah, it's called the world's hottest menopause party because I think that we're pretty hot during this time. And I think that, this is a chance for us to learn together and ask questions. And if we don't know something, maybe there's a researcher out there listening or taking part that can help us go get those answers.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for bringing that together. So if we share the link, will people be able to get the recordings if it's
Yes,
after?
we're going to have the recordings going up too, and I will figure out exactly where that is, but Hottest Menopause Party will be the link for that.
Okay, hottestmenopauseparty.com.
Yes,
I love it.
.com.
I love it. Where can people find out more about the documentary, about your book, about you?
Thank you. How to Menopause is the book, and all the information is there on the page. And so that's super exciting. It's for order now, and we're trying to get them out the door as fast as we can. What else? We have a bunch of free bonuses with it too. So if they're doing it ahead of time, they can get them. If they're doing it after, they can get them too. And yeah, on Instagram at Tamsen Fadal, I'm always sticking around there somewhere.
Your TikTok is great.
Oh, thank you, Beth.
Said a Gen X playing in TikTok. Isn't that for the youngsters? Is what my chiropractor said to me this morning. I'm like, well, not the way I have mine set up, is it?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
He hasn't discovered the over 50 side of TikTok, which is really fun.
That's the best part.
Yes. Question for you. Did you have the same pushback on the book that you did on the documentary, getting the funding, getting the writing?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Because the process is different for the documentary, we actually wound up funding a majority of it ourselves, just to get this done. But no, I can think for the book, what I got more of was like, I don't know about a menopause book. Would it be just menopause, or would you include midlife with it? Or does it have anything else? Is just menopause? And what's there to talk about with it? Like, why would there be talking about like workplace in it? Why would you talk about style and how things change? And I was like, because all of it changes in menopause. Because the makeup I used to put on my face at 20, I can't wear at 50 because it slides off. Like, because all those things matter. So so I took like an amazing team of women and who said yes. And so I'm super excited about it. And we've been really encouraged by the response that we've gotten so far. And I'm encouraged to keep that going. And we try to make sure that if a women can't purchase a book, if they let us know, that we'll make sure that they get one somehow. And that's be part of all of this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that for us. This is the thing we can give. This is what women do. We can give to each other. And when women have money and power, the entire community does better.
Yeah.
And I don't know about 100%. You, but let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. We're not going back.
No, absolutely. I've got 2 final questions for you.
Yeah.
Because I'm a reader and was a journalism student at one point in my life. That's a story for a cocktail sometime, Tamsen.
Love it.
What are you reading right now? What's on your nightstand?
Oh gosh, let me see. What am I reading right now? I mean, it was my book because I was having to proof check the book.
Yep.
Yeah, there was another book though that I had that was a fiction book, and I'm just trying to think. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna be able to give you that answer, I don't think.
I'm gonna have to let people know that question ahead of time, right?
The truth is, it's called like 5 Elements, I think. But then I was like, is it called 5 Levels or Elements? But that's what I'm reading.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay, very good. Question I ask all of my guests, the final question, which is, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh my gosh, stop worrying about crap. Stop worrying about little things that are not going to matter in like a week. Trust me, they're not going to matter in a week. And if they do, then you can start worrying about them. That's what I would tell my younger self.
I think that's really, really good advice.
I wish I could listen to it now too.
I know, right? It's true. You know what? Our younger sisters, our nieces, are the kids, they'll hear it. They'll hear it from us, and they'll hear it in a different way that we couldn't. So thank you for the time. Tamsen Fadal, thank you for everything.
Thank you.
The information and other content provided in this show, or in any linked materials, is not intended and should not be construed as medical advice, nor is the information a substitute for professional medical expertise or treatment. We are doctors, but we aren't your doctor. Seek your doctor's opinion. If you or any other person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical treatment. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have heard in this podcast or in any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The opinions and views expressed on this page and in this show have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, health practice, or other institution. Thank you.